In communication with Southern California, Channel 9 Public Affairs presents Teen Talk. The United States faces its greatest shortage of teachers in the past 20 years. Public and private schools will need to replace half of the current teaching force by 1992. In 1982, only 5% of all entering college freshmen indicated a strong interest in teaching.
The workload is demanding, the pay is ridiculously low, the years of schooling and training are arduous. Some of the people you meet along the way are restless, bored, and truant, and the hours are never ceasing. The place is called school, and the job is called teacher. In most professions, superior ability is recognized and usually rewarded with the 5 Ps: promotion, power, prestige, pay, and perks. In the teaching profession, the only P is a pat on the back, usually self-inflicted. I'm Joseph Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk, we've invited a whole variety of beginning first-year teachers. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. You know, I'm in my 31st year, and you're just starting out. Why did you select teaching, and was it your first choice profession? Eduardo?
Believe it or not, teaching was my first choice right after high school. I knew I wanted to become a teacher. And ever since I attended college, I kept my mind into teaching. I came to this country originally to improve my English.
From
Mexico, City. And I wanted to become a teacher in Mexico City teaching English.
I knew I wanted to be a teacher in my 11th grade in my U.S. history class. I had a wonderful teacher named Mrs. Beckhart, and she was my inspiration. And from the time that I studied with her, I knew that the only thing that I could ever want to become was a teacher. Everything else has kind of grown out from that. Randy, you've been around for a while. How old are you now?
Oh, I'm 39. That should take care of anybody else that I know.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of years working in the record business and the music business as a writer and a publisher and an administrator. And since most of my background and my family come from the education world, I thought it was time to give something back, and I was looking for something that I felt would be rewarding.
And what are you teaching? What's your subject?
I teach at Nimitz Junior High School in Huntington Park. It's 7th and 8th grade English. I find it very interesting because it's the 3rd largest junior high school in the United States.
Beautiful. All right, we'll talk about some of that in a little while. Dareth, welcome to Teen Talk. Was teaching your first choice?
Yes, it really was, because way back when I was in kindergarten, I remember my kindergarten teacher when I got to be in high school.
How do you remember her?
I loved her so much, and I went back and I worked with her, and the experience working with her really got me interested and motivated in going into teaching.
If only teachers could realize what role models they are, and how, if we love them, we want to emulate them and maybe sometimes think about becoming just like them. So what happened to you?
So when I attended the University of Southern California, I entered their general studies program, and I began doing a variety of observations around LA City schools, seeing a variety of different kinds of classrooms, a variety of different principals, and talking to other teachers. And I decided I was really interested in the teaching profession. I would try it here in LA City. And right now I'm at 32nd Street USC Magnet School for Performing and Visual Arts, and I've been there for several years, and it's been a really great experience for me.
What's your subject?
I teach 4th grade, a self-contained class, and I also teach drama, and I have a middle school drama group called Drama-Rama.
Good, Drama-Rama.
Drama-Rama. They chose it themselves. I had nothing to do with it.
Drama-Rama at Panorama City. And how about you, Susan? Is this your first choice of profession?
Yes, it was, and I think it's mostly because of my love for English. I just wanted to work with English any way I could. And
How old are you now?
I'm 24.
You're 24, so you studied, and now you're in teaching your first year. Okay, what was it like as you walked through the door on that first day, and you were now Are you married?
No.
Ms. Wilson has arrived on the scene. Ms. Wilson is walking in with her books and her roll book, and what do you say? What happened that first day?
I was frightened, obviously, very frightened. I thought the kids were just so much bigger than I could have imagined. My first assignment was 11th graders, inner city school.
Yeah, they're 8'9", as I recall. Yes.
About 300 pounds.
Right.
So I think it came very quickly. It was, once I just started talking with them, it was more like a friend-to-friend relationship that we developed immediately. So it was a comfortable thing once I started to know them.
In my first day at school, I remember I was a bull. I just came in, I was throwing out, what I expected and what I wanted and all the demands, and I filled up the board with all the rules and the regulations. I must have had 75 rules and regulations. You know, my hand was falling off at that time. But that was my fright. My fright and my need to control, you know.
I was in between that and running back to the car and quitting my first day, so.
What about for you, Erin? You're coming into school and Miss Kim has arrived on the scene. Where are you? What school?
I'm at University High School right now, and I teach physical science to 11th and 12th graders. As I remember the first day, I was really excited. I was looking really forward to working at University High School. I knew that I couldn't really intimidate them with my size or my appearance.
That's why you brought the gun and the machete. One hand a machete, the other hand a gun.
No, I couldn't do that. So I capitalized on my asset of being able to get along really well with the teenagers and somehow developed a real good rapport. I don't have any discipline problems, and I really love what I'm doing.
If Rodney Dangerfield were a teacher, he might describe his job as, I get no respect. Do you think teens of today respect their teachers? Do you think your students respect you? Elaine, let's welcome you to Teen Talk.
Thank you.
And you're in
Thank
your
you.
first year also,
Yes.
teaching
Yes, I'm teaching French
at
Grant High School in the Valley.
Wonderful, wonderful. I heard of Grant High School in the Valley.
I'm sure you have, Joseph.
Are the kids respectful of you?
Yes and no. I mean, compared to when I was a teenager, I cannot believe the lack of respect.
Really? In what
Absolutely.
sense?
Just one example. You will tell the class, you will write it on the board, open your books, or in French, open the books to page 89.
They don't know what you're saying because you're saying it in French.
Even if you say it in English, it's just surprising to me that they'll ask again and again. It will be on the board. You'll say it's on the, when I was in school, you didn't do things like that to deliberately irritate a teacher. They do it just to irritate me, in the same way that they'll walk up to the front of the room to get a Kleenex and make a big production out of blowing their nose. We used to have so much respect for a teacher that you don't think of disrupting the classroom.
Now, you were raised in a different culture. How old are you now, Eduardo?
I am 30 years old.
30 years old. So you were a teenager, let's say, 13, 14 years ago. Do you see a difference between the kids here and the kids when you were a kid?
Oh, definitely. We have a very traditional system in Mexico. Schools are very strict, very disciplined, and you just don't talk back to a teacher. You are expected to listen to the teacher. You are expected to bring all your utensils to work, and you are supposed to do your homework. And that's it. You are a student, and you are to listen to your teacher. Your teacher is there to teach you.
I was a class clown when I was at school. I was the kid that needed a lot of attention and got a lot of attention through telling jokes or acting wisely and so on. But whenever a teacher was getting really angry with me or a little upset and irritated, I would stop. I'd know when I could reach the point, because I didn't want any use and cooperation, and I didn't want any of that, that kind of thing falling on me.
There's a fine
Now
line.
you're each, you're only 6, 7 years away from your own high school life.
Right.
What are the kids like as the way you remember being 17, Susan?
They were pretty much the same. I had some bratty kids in my classes when I was in school, but I think it's very important as a teacher, it sounds corny, but to show respect to the kids and you'll get the respect in return.
I agree.
And I think it really works. You show them that you're just not the ruler of the class, that they have some input and you'll accept what they say and things like that, that it works both ways, and I think that they respect that.
And you too, Aaron, you're not that far away from the kids. I mean, you know, maybe 30 years or something, but whatever. But what do you think about the kids that you're teaching versus when you were a teenager?
It's really sad to say this, but they seem really nonchalant and apathetic in general. And I have students who are planning on going to four-year universities, but at the same time, they don't realize that it's really important for them to do their assignments and pay attention in class. And, you know, youth can disqualify them from a lot of things, but they don't care.
Let me ask you this. Let's get into the teaching realm a little bit. You know that a lot of people seem to hold teaching in very low esteem, and I'm wondering, why do you think that's so? Why are so many people in feeling this way? How do you? Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I think that it's not considered to be a very bright thing to do to, in a way, let yourself be ripped off. And teachers aren't very well paid. And it's just it's a thing in our society. You don't admire someone who will deliberately enter a profession where they don't stand to gain a lot financially.
31 years ago, when I started my teaching, I was earning about $500 a month, and it's gone up to $600 a month. So it's improved. It's improved. But the fact is that I guess so much of our society registers pluses or minuses on salary, not on the work. I'd never change my profession. If I had to do this all over again, there'd absolutely be no difference in terms of loving the teaching and enjoying the teaching for all the years that I did it. I'm not being as creative today as I used to be, but I'm not being given quite the opportunity. And the kids, I've found, are changing tremendously from the kids I taught 20 years ago and 30 years ago at Grant High School. They're not quite the same breed of student. How about you,
Well,
Randy?
I think I have some particular opinions about what the kids are interested in, what the kids do, and I happen to think that they're very visually oriented. And
Right.
so for 20 years we've spent time giving them books and magazines and
Auditory stuff.
auditory things that they have to listen to, which is fine. They have to learn how to do that. But since I teach from a literature base, I attack it from the point of view of a visual story that has high name recognition, and so I teach stories that have become movies because I can put the plot of the movie on the board and the kids can see the plot of the story.
That's very clever.
And I prefer that they do that because they attack drawings, they attend to images, and they listen to movement. And I say listen to movement.
Give me your views about a little bit about the low esteem that teachers are held in. Why do you think that's going on?
I think it's like anything else. You bring to it your own self-image. Some actors are about 5'3". Some of the biggest actors in show business are very, very small, but they are very, very large people. They are large individuals in their own minds, and you bring to it your own self-image.
Okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way in which we, as a profession, allow people to enter the profession, as well as do we monitor ourselves in terms of what we're doing, because oftentimes we do have people in our profession who don't uphold to what a teacher should be, and that's what the media hears, that's what the public hears, and therefore when they hear that about that one teacher, they don't realize that there are 7 or 10 other teachers that are doing a wonderful job with their kids, that are really having learning going on in the room, and they are not accounted for.
I ran across a cartoon which showed a principal talking to a teacher, in which the principal says, "I appreciate the pressures involved in teaching, John, but don't you think 27 is a bit young to be thinking of early retirement?" I'm 54 and will graduate with the class of June 1989. But I will be graduating with some discouragement, especially with the large failure rate, the high truancy rate, and with the fact that none of today's teens laugh at my time-tested jokes. Panel, are you in this for life? Are you in this for life? Yeah, Aaron?
Before I answer that, let me add one thing to what you said earlier. It's really important that we teachers have to stop saying, I'm just a teacher. We have to take pride in what we do, because how do people become doctors, presidents, politicians? Because they had great teachers. You know, so what we're doing is something fantastic that everyone should look up to and we should feel proud of.
Very nice.
Burnout.
Very nice. Thank you.
I plan on staying in teaching profession for a long time. I'll probably retire from LAUSD. How do I prevent burnout? Well, I have to take one day at a time, really, and one period at a time, one student at a time. Okay, that's been working out for me really well. And one other thing is, when I go to work in the morning, as I'm driving to work, I chant, patience, patience, patience.
You sound like we should begin a group called Teachers Anonymous. One day at a time. And when you think about how to prevent burnout, what did you say? Yeah, Dareth?
Well, I definitely was almost burned out because my first year in teaching was about 3 weeks after I started. I came back the next morning and several teachers came up to me and said, "Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your classroom." And I said, "What about my classroom?" Well, apparently the night before it had been set on fire. And so,
you think the students were trying to tell you something?
I know. I'm thinking maybe I wasn't meant to be in teaching, you know. But then I evaluated it and I said, you know, this is something that I know comes with the territory. And I care enough about the kids that I would still wanted to continue teaching. And it was a bond for us, having something like that tragedy happen. And it strengthened it. Not a bond, but it strengthened the kids and also the school. I mean, all the kids were very supportive in realizing that.
But are you going to stay in this for life? Are you planning right now?
I may not stay where I am in teaching. What I would eventually like to do is to get into broadcasting and produce television shows for children and have a complex for performing arts.
What a marvelously clever idea.
But still be teaching and dealing with kids.
Following in the footsteps of Feinstein.
Right.
Eduardo, what about you? Are you going to stay in this for life?
I would like to answer yes. However, teaching is a very, very, very demanding profession. You just don't have any breaks whatsoever. From the minute you sign in until the time you sign out, you are just on the run, literally. It's not like any other office job that you take.
That's right.
You can
and even
stop.
when you go home and you've got those papers under your arm.
Right. So there is a lot of work involved in teaching, not only at school, but after school as well.
For sure.
And if my body can last, I think I will be around for it.
Good. Well, let's hope that body is going to last. Randy, are the veteran teachers like myself, are we helpful or negative as far as a person like you is concerned?
For a person like me, what I have found at my school is solid support from the principal and the vice principal, solid support from teachers that have 25 and 30 years experience. They are there to help with lessons. They give me materials. I have no complaints. I sit around and listen to many complaints, and I've heard about many complaints. But for me personally, I cannot beat it.
Yeah, when you called me and asked me that question, didn't I answer your thoughts and everything?
Yes, it's been great.
How about the other teachers?
The other teachers have been very supportive.
Really?
Extremely supportive.
How do they help you?
That usually, if I have a question, they'll share an experience, a similar experience they had, and then I don't feel so alone. And I don't feel that I'm the only teacher who's having a problem with the students.
You know who else is helpful with teachers? Very often the kids are helpful with teachers. I have found that when I'm on a diet, I'm on a perpetual diet, and when I tell the kids about these things, they're very anxious to help me and support me in that endeavor. Or if I need something, or if a day comes when I'm really just not feeling well, and I've had headaches and I've been sick or with a cold, they're very solicitous and they're very caring. And more caring than you ever give them credit for is the way I found it much of the time. Yeah, what did you want to say to me before?
I've gotten some of my best advice from my students, just talking to them after class on about personal things or whatever. But I was going to say about burnout, creativity is the cure for boredom or burnout. And I think that I find that even on a day-to-day basis, when I'm getting a little bored, going, oh, not this again, just try a different approach, and it livens the whole things up, and the kids can tell, and you can feel it, and just changing your approach sometimes, doing creative things.
Yeah, and where does that creativity come from for you? You know, sometimes, yeah.
Well, sometimes for me it comes from the fact that I don't want to be bored. That I figure this is my classroom, and I want, if I'm in it, I want it to be home. I want it to be homey. I want it to have that learning environment. So I make my lessons around the learning environment and give it that oomph and motivation that adds to the creativity, that gives the child a reason for being there and wanting to learn.
I came across a beautiful quote in relationship to what you just said, that teaching is being near where the breathing begins. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that, Elaine?
I think that's true. You know, another thing that I use too is I try to make it humorous. You know, usually if I start getting in the vein of thinking, how could I make this funny? Well, everybody appreciates humor. Certainly students are no exception, you know, and that always makes things go.
I want you to know that even though I am discouraged and need to be fired up, I am not burnt out. I love teaching and I love young people. I simply am ready to move out of the classroom, but I shall never leave teaching nor the kids. Rabbi Zev Shostak summed it up beautifully when he said, I am the most fortunate of men, for I am eternal. Others live here in the world of today. I live in the world of tomorrow. I do not simply teach the mind, I reach the heart. And when I reach the heart, I touch the soul. I read and really enjoyed the book Education in Ecstasy by George B. Leonard. It'll help us to understand more about teachers, teaching, and the whole educational process. Teachers, you've been wonderful. I really appreciated your part on the panel, and all I can say, it would be a privilege and a pleasure to be in any of your classes. This is Joseph Feinstein for Teen Talk saying we will see you very soon.